G1 stood at the viewing port of the transport ship and stared at Station Kepler 7. The massive structure floated in the darkness of space like a small city made of metal and glass. Lights blinked along its surface, and ships moved in and out of its docking bays like insects around a hive. This was the Galactic Naval Academy, the most prestigious military training facility in known space. And G1 was terrified. She touched the acceptance letter in her pocket for the 100th time. It was real. She was really here. The first human to attend the academy in 30 years. The last human cadet had quit after 2 weeks, unable to handle the pressure and isolation. The transport ship docked with a soft thud. G1 grabbed her bag and joined the line of new cadets heading into the station. As she walked through the airlock, she noticed the other cadets staring at her. Some whispered to each other. One pointed. G1 kept her eyes forward and tried to ignore them. The academy's main hall was enormous. Hundreds of species from across the galaxy filled the space. G1 saw beings with scales, beings with fur, beings that floated in containment suits filled with strange gases. She had studied alien species for years, preparing for this moment, but seeing them all together was overwhelming. A tall, four-armed alien approached her. His skin was pale blue and covered in subtle patterns that shifted colors. "Cadet G1?" he asked. His voice came from a translator device on his chest. "Yes, sir," G1 said. "I am Commander Spiral Mind. I will be your squad commander." He looked down at her with large, dark eyes. "You are quite small." G1 was used to this reaction. Humans were smaller than most military species. "I meet all the physical requirements, sir." "We shall see," Spiral Mind said. He did not sound convinced. "Follow me. I will introduce you to your squad." G1 followed the commander through several corridors. Other cadets moved aside to let them pass. Some stared at G1 with curiosity. Others looked at her with something that might have been disgust. They reached a training room where 3 aliens waited. Commander Spiral Mind gestured to each one. "This is your squad, Sigma 9. The crystalline being is Prism Cutter from the Vexian Collective. The one in the atmospheric suit is Whisper Current, a Dulvar, and the large reptilian is Scalebearer, a Skorath warrior." Prism Cutter looked like a walking sculpture made of clear crystal. Light bent and reflected through his body in beautiful patterns. Whisper Current floated inside a spherical suit filled with orange gas. Scalebearer stood nearly 7 feet tall, covered in dark green scales with bright yellow eyes. "Greetings," G1 said, trying to sound friendly. The 3 aliens looked at her but said nothing. Scalebearer made a sound that might have been a snort. "Your first training exercise begins in 1 hour," Commander Spiral Mind said. "Use this time to familiarize yourselves with each other." He left the room. An awkward silence filled the space. Finally, Whisper Current spoke. His voice was soft and echoey through his suit's speaker. "You are from Earth, yes?" "The Deathworld?" "Yes," G1 said, "though we just call it home." "I have read about your world," Prism Cutter said. His voice sounded like wind chimes. "The gravity is crushing. The atmosphere is corrosive. The native life forms are all predators." "It is not that bad," G1 said, though she knew it kind of was. Earth was classified as a Class 12 Deathworld, one of the most hostile planets known to harbor intelligent life. Scalebearer crossed his massive arms. "Humans are weak. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no size. How did your species even survive?" G1 felt her temper rise but pushed it down. "We are adaptable. We use tools. We work together." "Tools," Scalebearer repeated, making it sound like an insult. "Skorath need no tools. We are warriors by nature." Before G1 could respond, an alarm sounded. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. "Combat simulation beginning," a mechanical voice announced. "Scenario: enemy ambush during patrol. Objective: survive and eliminate all hostiles." The room's walls disappeared, replaced by a holographic environment. They stood in a rocky canyon with red sand beneath their feet. G1's heart began to pound. This was it. Her first real test. "Formation Beta," Scalebearer commanded, taking charge. "I will take point." "Prism Cutter, rear guard. Whisper Current, aerial reconnaissance. Human, stay in the center and try not to die." They moved forward through the canyon. G1's instincts screamed at her. Something felt wrong. The canyon walls were too close, too perfect for an ambush. She opened her mouth to warn the others. Energy bolts erupted from the rocks above them. Holographic enemies, at least a dozen of them, opened fire from elevated positions. Scalebearer roared and tried to charge forward, but more enemies appeared, cutting off his path. Whisper Current's suit sparked as a bolt hit it, and he retreated in panic. Prism Cutter froze, his crystalline form reflecting the chaos around them. G1's training took over. While her squad mates panicked, her body flooded with adrenaline. Time seemed to slow down. She saw the enemy positions, calculated angles, identified cover. She moved. "Follow me!" she shouted, diving behind a large rock. She grabbed a training weapon from her belt and returned fire with quick, accurate bursts. One holographic enemy dissolved. Then another. Scalebearer was pinned down, roaring in frustration. G1 ran to his position in a zigzag pattern that made her harder to hit. "Move when I fire," she shouted at him. She laid down covering fire, and Scalebearer lumbered to safety. G1 coordinated their defense with sharp commands. She directed Prism Cutter to use his reflective body to blind the enemies. She told Whisper Current to create a gas screen for cover. She had Scalebearer use his strength to collapse part of the canyon wall, crushing several enemies. It was over in 4 minutes. The holographic enemies dissolved. The canyon disappeared. They stood in the training room again, breathing hard. Commander Spiral Mind appeared in the doorway. He had been watching. "Acceptable performance," he said. Cadet G1 showed good tactical awareness. Scalebearer's yellow eyes fixed on G1. There was something in his gaze she could not read. Fear? Anger? Over the next 2 days, G1 noticed her squad mates acting strangely around her. They would not meet her eyes. They kept their distance. On the 3rd day, Commander Spiral Mind called her to his office. "Your squad mates have requested transfers," he said bluntly. "All 3 of them." G1 felt like she had been punched. "What? Why?" "They find you disturbing," Spiral Mind said. He pulled up their reports on a screen. "Prism Cutter says your movements during combat are too aggressive, too predatory. Whisper Current reports that you show no fear response in dangerous situations, which he finds unnatural. Scalebearer claims that humans are too violent and unpredictable for standard military service. I just did what I was trained to do," G1 protested. "I know," Spiral Mind said. There might have been sympathy in his voice. "But you must understand, most species in the galaxy evolved as prey or peaceful omnivores. Humans evolved as pursuit predators on a world that tried to kill them every day. Your natural reactions frighten them. So what happens now?" G1 asked quietly. "You will train alone until we find squad mates who can tolerate working with a human," Spiral Mind said. "I suggest you learn to hide your instincts better, or this will keep happening." G1 left the office feeling more alone than ever. She walked through the corridors of the station, aware of every alien that stepped out of her way. She was not a monster. She was just human, but maybe in this galaxy that was the same thing. G1 spent the next week training alone. Every morning, she ran through empty simulation rooms while other squads trained together. Every afternoon, she practiced combat drills against holographic opponents that could not judge her or request transfers. Every evening, she ate dinner in the cafeteria, while other cadets sat as far away from her as possible. She was starting to understand what the last human cadet had felt. The loneliness was crushing. On the 8th day, G1 sat in the station's observation deck, watching ships come and go through the viewport. She was so lost in thought that she did not notice someone sit down beside her until he spoke. "The view never gets old, does it?" G1 turned and saw another human. He was older than her, maybe in his 40s, with gray streaks in his dark hair. He wore civilian clothes with an identification badge that read, "Dr. Tae-hyun, Xenobiology Consultant." "You are human," Ji-won said, then felt stupid for stating the obvious. Tae-hyun smiled. "Last time I checked. I am Tae-hyun, and you must be Cadet Ji-won. The station is buzzing with talk about the human cadet." "Great," Ji-won muttered. "I am famous for all the wrong reasons." "I heard about your squad requesting transfers," Tae-hyun said. "I am sorry. I know how that feels." "You do? I have been a consultant here for 5 years," Tae-hyun explained. "Before that, I worked on 3 other stations. It took a long time for aliens to trust me enough to let me near their medical facilities. They thought I might go berserk and attack someone." "Why would they think that?" Ji-won asked. "Because they do not understand humans," Tae-hyun said. "They see our predator traits and assume we are barely controlled savages. They do not understand that intelligence and aggression can coexist. That being capable of violence is not the same as being violent. Ji-Wan looked out at the stars. I scared my squad mates. I did not mean to, but I did. Maybe they are right to be afraid. They are not afraid of you, Taehyun said gently. They are afraid of what you represent. Most intelligent species in the galaxy evolved on relatively peaceful worlds. They developed civilization because they had the luxury of safety. Humans did not have that luxury. We had to fight for every meal every day for millions of years. Our bodies and minds are built for survival in ways that other species find disturbing. Before Ji-Wan could respond, an announcement echoed through the station. Dr. Taehyun, please report to Conference Room 7. Your presence is requested for an educational briefing. Taehyun stood up. That is my cue. Would you like to come? I think you might find it interesting. Ji-Wan followed him through the station to a large conference room. Inside, about 30 instructors and senior officers sat waiting. Commander Spiral Mind was there, along with several other high-ranking officials. They all turned to look when Ji-Wan entered. Cadet Ji-Wan, Commander Spiral Mind said, surprised. This is an instructor briefing. I invited her, Taehyun said calmly. She should hear this too. It concerns her species. Spiral Mind considered this, then gestured to an empty seat. Very well. Taehyun moved to the front of the room and activated a holographic display. An image of a human appeared, slowly rotating in 3 dimensions. Thank you all for coming. I have been asked to explain human biology, to help instructors better understand their human cadets. Let me start with a question. What makes humans different from most galactic species? A squid-like alien in the front row raised a tentacle. They are from a Deathworld. Class 12 hostile environment, correct, Taehyun said. But what does that actually mean? Let me show you. The hologram changed to show Earth spinning in space. Earth has gravity 1.3 times stronger than galactic standard. The atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen, which is corrosive to many species. The planet experiences extreme weather, deadly predators, aggressive diseases, and constant natural disasters. The display zoomed in to show various Earth animals. Lions hunting, sharks swimming, bears catching fish. Humans evolved alongside these creatures. They learned to survive by becoming endurance predators. They could not run as fast as prey animals, so they chased them until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. This gave humans several unique traits. Taehyun pointed to the human figure and it highlighted various body systems. First, cardiovascular efficiency. Human hearts and lungs can maintain activity for hours without rest. A human can run for an entire day if necessary. Second, thermal regulation. Humans sweat to cool their bodies, allowing them to function in extreme heat that would kill most species. A bird-like alien raised a wing, but they are weak. They have no claws, no armor, no venom. True, Taehyun agreed, but they have something better. Tool use and intelligence, and most importantly, an endocrine system designed for survival. The hologram highlighted the human brain and adrenal glands. When humans face danger, their bodies flood with hormones. Adrenaline increases strength, speed, and reaction time. Cortisol sharpens focus. Endorphins block pain. A human in danger becomes significantly more capable than a human at rest. This sounds like berserker rage, another instructor said nervously. No, Taehyun said firmly. It is controlled aggression. Humans remain intelligent and tactical even when their combat hormones activate. This is what disturbs other species. You expect a being in that state to be mindless. But humans are not. They think clearly, they plan, they adapt. It is very effective but very unsettling to witness. Commander Spiral Mind spoke up. What about their psychological traits? The lack of fear response. Humans experience fear, Taehyun explained. But they evolved the ability to override it. Their ancestors who could push through fear to fight predators survived. Those who fled died. Over millions of years, this created a species that can force themselves to act despite being terrified. It is not fearlessness. It is courage, which is far more impressive. The hologram changed again, showing the human immune system. Let me address another concern. Human disease resistance. Yes, humans carry bacteria and viruses that can be dangerous to other species, but humans themselves are almost impossible to infect with alien diseases. Their immune systems evolved to fight Earth's incredibly hostile microbe population. A human can walk through environments that would kill most of you from infection. Are they dangerous to us? Someone asked. Only if you share body fluids or breathe their air for extended periods, Taehyun said. Standard quarantine procedures are sufficient. Humans are very careful about contamination because they know their Earth microbes can harm aliens. A mantis-like alien clicked its mandibles. You make them sound like perfect warriors. Not perfect, Taehyun said. Humans are fragile in some ways. They break bones easily. They require specific nutrition. They need regular sleep, which many species do not. And psychologically, they can be deeply affected by isolation and rejection despite their tough exterior. He looked directly at Commander Spiral Mind. Humans are not monsters. They are survivors. If you treat them with respect and try to understand them, they will be loyal, brave, and incredibly effective soldiers. But if you treat them like dangerous animals, you will create exactly what you fear. The room fell silent. Ji-won felt every eye on her. She wanted to disappear. Commander Spiral Mind stood up. Thank you, Dr. Taehyun. This has been educational. I will distribute this information to all staff. He looked at Ji-won. Cadet, a word please. After the others filed out, Spiral Mind approached Ji-won. I owe you an apology. I judged you based on prejudice, not on your actual performance. You are a good soldier. The problem is not you. It is our lack of understanding. Thank you, sir, Ji-won said quietly. I am assembling a new squad for you. Spiral Mind continued. I will personally brief them on human biology before you meet. Perhaps with understanding will come acceptance. As Ji-won left the conference room, Taehyun caught up with her. That went well, did it? Ji-won asked. They all looked at me like I was a science experiment. Understanding is the first step to acceptance, Taehyun said. Give them time. You are pioneering a path for other humans to follow. That is never easy. I just want to be a good soldier, Ji-won said. You already are, Taehyun replied. Now you need to show them that being human and being a good soldier are not contradictions. They are the same thing. 3 weeks passed. Ji-won trained with her new squad and things were better. Not perfect, but better. Her new squad mates included Quickwing, a small flying alien with iridescent feathers who was nervous about everything, and Thoughtkeeper, a quiet being whose body looked like floating rings of light connected by energy fields. They kept their distance from Ji-won, but they did not request transfers. They were in the middle of a navigation exercise when the alarms started screaming. Every screen in the training room turned red. A mechanical voice announced, "Emergency alert, distress signal received from research vessel Horizon's Promise. All available personnel report for briefing." Ji-won and her squad rushed to the main briefing hall along with dozens of other cadets and officers. Commander Spiral Mind stood at the front with several senior officers. His forearms moved rapidly across holographic displays. "Attention," Spiral Mind called out. The room fell silent. 15 minutes ago, we received a distress signal from the research vessel Horizon's Promise. The ship was conducting mineral surveys in the Helios belt when it was boarded by Vakros raiders. A murmur of fear rippled through the room. Ji-won had read about the Vakros in her studies. They were apex predators from a high-gravity world even more hostile than Earth. They had turned to piracy because violence was the only trade they knew. The holographic display showed an image of a Vakros. The creature stood at least 8 feet tall on powerful legs. Its body was covered in thick armored plates that looked like dark metal. Its head was angular and reptilian, with rows of sharp teeth visible even with its mouth closed. Long arms ended in clawed hands that could tear through steel. The Vakros are the most dangerous raiders in this sector, Spiral Mind continued. They hunt in packs of 6 to 12 individuals. They have never been successfully repelled by civilian security. Their tactics involve boarding ships, killing all crew who resist, and taking the rest as slaves or food. Food. Ji-won felt her stomach turn. The Vakros were not just pirates. They were predators in every sense. Our combat squads are currently on patrol 3 hours away, Spiral Mind said. We cannot wait for them. The Horizon's Promise has 43 crew members aboard. If we do not act immediately, they will all die. Therefore, I am deploying Academy cadets as a rescue force. The room erupted in nervous chatter. Quickwing's feathers fluffed up in panic. Even Thoughtkeeper's energy rings flickered with what might have been fear. Your mission is evacuation only, Spiral Mind emphasized. You will board the Horizon's Promise, locate survivors, and extract them to your transport ships. You are not to engage the Vakros unless absolutely necessary. They are trained killers. You are cadets. If you encounter Vakros, you retreat. Is that understood? Everyone nodded, but Ji-won saw the fear in their eyes. She felt it too, but something else stirred beneath it. a cold focus that sharpened her senses. They were assigned to squads of 8 and loaded into assault transports. G1 sat between Quickwing, who was shaking so badly his feathers rattled, and Thoughtkeeper, who had gone completely silent. Across from her sat 5 other cadets she barely knew. The transport launched from the station and accelerated toward the Helios belt. The pilot's voice came through the intercom. E to 20 minutes. Prepare for combat boarding. G1 checked her weapon. It was a standard energy rifle, designed to stun rather than kill. Most academy training weapons were non-lethal, but the instructors had upgraded everyone to full combat gear for this mission. That told her how serious this was. Quickwing leaned close to G1. His voice was barely a whisper. I am terrified. I have never seen real combat. What if I freeze? What if I get everyone killed? G1 looked at the small alien. Then we cover for you. That is what squads do. You are not afraid? Quickwing asked. I am, G1 admitted. But my body knows what to do even when my mind is scared. Trust your training. Trust your squad. We will get through this. The transport shook as it entered the debris field of the Helios belt. Through the viewport, G1 could see the horizon's promise. The research vessel was a large ship designed for long-term missions, but now its hull was scarred with blast marks. 3 smaller Vacross raider ships clung to it like parasites. Docking in 60 seconds, the pilot announced. Boarding team, prepare for hostile environment. The transport connected to one of the Horizon's Promise airlock hatches. The doors opened with a hiss and G1's squad moved into the research vessel. The lights were flickering. Smoke drifted through the corridors, and there was blood on the walls. Spread out, their squad leader ordered. She was a tall, mantis-like alien named Strike True. Check every room. Find survivors. They moved through the ship in formation. Every corridor was empty. Every room was trashed. Equipment was smashed. Doors were ripped from their hinges. The Vacross had torn through this ship like a hurricane. They found the first body in the medical bay. A crew member, some species G1 did not recognize, torn apart so badly she could barely look at it. Quickwing made a choking sound and turned away. Keep moving, Strike True ordered, but her voice shook. They searched 3 more decks and found nothing but destruction. No survivors. No Vacross. Just eerie silence and the evidence of violence. Then they heard it. A sound that made every alien in the squad freeze. It was a howl, deep and resonant, coming from somewhere below them. It was the sound of a predator that had cornered its prey. Cargo bay, Strike True whispered. They are in the cargo bay. They moved toward the cargo bay carefully. G1 felt her heart pounding. Her hands gripped her weapon tightly. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she pushed forward. The cargo bay doors were open. Strike True peered around the corner, then pulled back quickly. Her face had lost all color. The survivors. They have them all in there, surrounded. G1 looked. The cargo bay was massive, and in the center, the remaining crew of the Horizon's Promise huddled together. There were maybe 30 of them, all unarmed, all terrified. And circling them were the Vacross. G1 counted 9 of the raiders. They were even bigger in person than in the images. They moved with the confidence of apex predators, taking their time, enjoying their hunt. One Vacross would dart forward and swipe at the group, making them scream and scatter. Then the raiders would laugh. They were playing with their prey. The largest Vacross stood apart from the others. His armor plates were covered in scars. One of his eyes was milky white and blind. This was clearly the pack leader. He watched his pack toy with the crew with a satisfied expression. We need to create a distraction, Strike True said. Draw them away from the survivors so we can evacuate them. That will not work, G1 said quietly. They hunt in packs. If we distract some, the others will stay with the prey. We need to scare them off. Scare them? Quickwing said, his voice high with panic. These are Vacross. Nothing scares them. G1 was about to respond when one of the Vacross noticed their squad. The raider pointed and howled. Suddenly, all 9 Vacross turned to look at them. The pack leader, the scarred one, tilted his head. Then he spoke. The translator in G1's ear converted his words. More prey. Good, I was getting bored. He started walking toward them. The other Vacross spread out, beginning to surround the squad's position. They were about to be hunted. Strike True made a decision. Fall back! Everyone retreat to the... But G1 did not move. She stepped forward out into the open cargo bay. Every member of her squad stared at her in shock. The pack leader stopped. He looked down at Jiwan with curiosity. What is this? A tiny soft thing that does not run? I am Cadet Jiwan, she said clearly. And you need to leave this ship. The Vakros laughed. It was a horrible sound like metal scraping on stone. I am Renclaw. I have killed hundreds. I have never lost a hunt. And you, little soft thing, will be my easiest prey yet. Renclaw charged. Renclaw was fast, impossibly fast for something so large. He closed the distance between them in 3 massive strides, his clawed hand swinging toward Jiwan's head with enough force to decapitate her. Jiwan's body reacted before her mind could catch up. She dropped low, feeling the air split above her as the claws passed inches from her skull. Her adrenal glands dumped a massive dose of hormones into her bloodstream. Time seemed to slow. Every detail became crystal clear. She could see individual scratches on Renclaw's armor plates. She could hear her own heartbeat strong and steady. She was not afraid anymore. Fear had transformed into something else, something cold and focused. Renclaw stumbled slightly, surprised that his prey had dodged. He turned for another strike, but Jiwan was already moving. She rolled to the side, came up on one knee, and fired her weapon. The energy bolt struck Renclaw in the shoulder. It did not penetrate his armor, but it made him take a step back. You dare? He roared. Jiwan did not answer. She was calculating. Vakros armor was thick on the chest and back, but thinner at the joints. The neck was protected, but the space beneath the jaw was softer. The eyes were vulnerable. She cataloged every weakness in seconds. Renclaw charged again. This time Jiwan did not dodge away. She moved toward him. The Vakros expected prey to flee, not advance. His strike went wide. Jiwan ducked under his massive arm and drove her weapon into the softer armor at his elbow joint. She pulled the trigger at point-blank range. The Vakros howled in pain. His arm went numb, hanging useless at his side. He swung with his other arm, but Jiwan had already moved behind him. She was smaller, faster, and she was using his size against him. The other Vakros started moving toward her, but Renclaw snarled at them. Mine! This prey is mine! He spun and lunged at Jiwan with his jaws open, rows of teeth ready to tear her apart. Jiwan waited until the last possible moment, then threw herself backward. As she fell, she aimed her weapon at his open mouth and fired. The energy bolt went straight down his throat. Renclaw made a choking sound and staggered. Jiwan rolled to her feet. Her body was screaming at her now. Adrenaline could only do so much. She was breathing hard. Her muscles burned. But she could not stop. Not yet. Renclaw recovered faster than any other species would have. He was hurt, angry, and now he was taking this fight seriously. He grabbed a piece of broken machinery and hurled it at Jiwan. She tried to dodge, but the debris caught her leg. She felt something crack. Pain exploded through her shin. Jiwan went down. Her weapon skidded across the floor, out of reach. Renclaw stood over her, breathing heavily. Blood dripped from his mouth. You fight well for prey, but now you die. He raised his foot to crush her skull. Jiwan looked up at him, and she smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the bared teeth of a cornered predator. It was the smile of something that would rather die fighting than give up. It was the smile of a species that had survived 1,000,000 years on a world that tried to kill them every single day. She made a sound deep in her throat. A growl. It was a primal sound that existed before language, before civilization. It was the sound of a hunter that refused to become prey. Renclaw froze. Something in that sound, something in Jiwan's eyes triggered an instinct buried deep in his predator brain. He had heard something like it before, from the most dangerous creatures on his own homeworld. It was a warning that said, if you kill me, I will make sure you die too. Jiwan's broken leg screamed in protest, but she pushed herself up. Her body released more hormones. Endorphins blocked the pain. Cortisol sharpened her mind. Her nervous system overrode the damage signals and kept her moving. She stood on her broken leg, Renclaw, took a step back. The other Vakros saw their leader retreat from prey for the first time in their lives. Confusion rippled through the pack. This was not how hunts were supposed to go. Jiwan took a step forward. Then another. She was limping badly, but she kept advancing. Her hands were empty. She was bleeding from a dozen small cuts. Her leg was broken. By all logic, she should be helpless, but she was not. What are you? Renclaw asked. For the first time, there was uncertainty in his voice. I am human, Jiwan said. Her voice was steady despite the pain. I am from Earth, a Class 12 Deathworld. My ancestors hunted mammoths with pointed sticks. They ran down prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They fought off predators with their bare hands. They survived ice ages and plagues and disasters that would have ended any other species. Pain does not stop us. Fear does not stop us. Even death does not stop us easily. So ask yourself, Renclaw, do you really want to find out what it takes to kill a human? Renclaw stared at her. Behind him, his pack was watching, waiting for his decision. Then Jiwan did something that shocked everyone in the cargo bay. She took another step forward, toward the Vakros, toward the pack of apex predators. One of the younger Vakros made a whimpering sound and backed away. Then another. The pack's cohesion was breaking. This is not prey, one of them said. This is something else. We should go, another agreed. No, Rendclaw roared. We do not flee from prey. We are Vakros. We are the hunters. But even as he said it, he took another step back. His pack was already retreating toward their boarding ramp. They had lost their nerve. Rendclaw looked at Jiwan one more time. Despite his words, she saw it clearly in his eyes. Recognition. She was not prey. She was a fellow predator, maybe even a more dangerous one than him, because she could think and plan and refuse to give up even when broken. Another time, human, Rendclaw said. Another time we will finish this. Run, Jiwan said simply. Rendclaw turned and followed his pack back to their ships. The Vakros undocked and fled into the debris field of the Helios belt. For the first time in their recorded history, they had retreated from prey. As soon as the Vakros ships disappeared from sensors, Jiwan's legs gave out. She collapsed to the cargo bay floor. The adrenaline was fading, and now she felt everything. The broken leg, the cuts, the bruises. Her body had used up every reserve to keep her fighting, and now she was paying the price. Strike True and the rest of the squad rushed to her side. Quickwing was crying, his feathers trembling. You are insane. You could have died. But I did not, Jiwan managed to say, and neither did they. She gestured to the surviving crew members who were staring at her in shock and awe. Medical team, we need immediate assistance. Strike True called into her communicator. We have survivors, and we have one very injured human who just defeated a Vakros pack leader in single combat. That is impossible, the voice on the other end said. Strike True looked at Jiwan. I just watched it happen, trust me. It was very possible. Thoughtkeeper's energy rings pulsed with a color Jiwan had never seen before. The translator interpreted it as, I was wrong about you. Humans are not disturbing. Humans are terrifying, and I am grateful you are on our side. Jiwan tried to smile, but her body finally gave up. The pain crashed over her like a wave, and darkness closed in. Her last thought before losing consciousness was that she had done it. She had saved them, and somewhere in the back of her fading awareness she felt a strange sense of pride. Not because she had won, but because she had proved something important. Humans belonged in the stars. They had earned their place. Jiwan woke up in the medical bay 3 days later. The first thing she saw was white ceiling panels. The second thing she saw was Taehyun sitting in a chair beside her bed reading from a datapad. You are awake, he said with a smile. Good, the doctors were starting to worry. What happened? Jiwan's voice was rough. Her throat hurt. What happened is that you became a legend, Taehyun said. You fought a Vakros pack leader and won. The station's security footage was transmitted across the entire galactic network. Right now, your fight is being analyzed in military academies on 100 worlds. Jiwan tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through her leg. She looked down and saw it was encased in a regeneration cast that glowed with soft blue light. Fractured tibia and fibula, Taehyun explained. Plus 3 cracked ribs, multiple contusions, a mild concussion, and significant blood loss. Any other species would still be unconscious. But your human healing factor is already repairing the damage. You will be walking in a week. Fully recovered in 3. The survivors from the Horizons promise? Jiwan asked. All safe. All alive, thanks to you. Taehyun put down his datapad. The Vakros fled the system entirely. They have not been seen since. And Jiwan, you need to understand what this means. The Vakros have never retreated before. Never. They are telling every criminal in the galaxy to avoid humans. You changed our reputation in 5 minutes. Before Jiwan could respond, the medical bay doors opened. Commander Spiral Mind entered. followed by several high-ranking officers and, to Ji-won's surprise, her original squadmates. Prism Cutter, Whisper Current, and Scalebearer stood at the back of the group, looking uncomfortable. Cadet Ji-won, Spiral Mind said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Naval Academy and the Council of Allied Worlds, I present you with the Medal of Valor for exceptional courage under fire. You saved 43 lives and proved that humanity deserves its place among the stars. A small hovering drone floated forward and placed a silver medal on Ji-won's bedside table. She stared at it, not quite believing this was real. Thank you, sir, she managed to say. One of the officers, a floating jellyfish-like being, spoke next. We have reviewed the footage of your confrontation with Renclaw. We have also reviewed human evolutionary biology with Dr. Tae-hyun. We are issuing new protocols for all military facilities. Humans are to be treated as full equals and integrated into standard military operations without prejudice. It is about time, Tae-hyun muttered. But he was smiling. The officers left, but Commander Spiral Mind remained. He gestured to Ji-won's original squadmates. These three have something to say to you. Prism Cutter stepped forward. His crystalline body refracted the medical bay lights into rainbow patterns. Cadet Ji-won, I owe you an apology. I requested transfer because your behavior frightened me. I saw aggression and assumed violence. I did not understand that you were simply a soldier doing what soldiers do. I was wrong. If you will accept me, I would like to rejoin your squad. Whisper Current floated forward in his atmospheric suit. I also apologize. I thought your lack of fear was unnatural. Now I understand it is not lack of fear but courage, the ability to act despite fear. It is something my species has never developed. I would be honored to learn from you. Scalebearer, the large Skorath warrior, was last. He looked directly at Ji-won with his yellow eyes. I called you weak. I said humans had no natural weapons. I was a fool. You are the deadliest being I have ever seen. Not because of claws or armor, but because of will, because you refuse to give up. I have trained my entire life to be a warrior. You were born one. Please allow me to fight beside you. Ji-won felt tears forming in her eyes. She had been so lonely, so isolated, and now these three who had rejected her were asking to come back. Yes, she said. Yes, of course. I would be glad to have you on my squad. Over the next week, as Ji-won recovered, something strange happened. Other cadets started requesting to join her squad. Quickwing insisted on staying with her. Thoughtkeeper requested permanent assignment. More volunteers came forward every day. Aliens who had once avoided her now wanted to serve with her. Commander Spiral Mind called her to his office when she could finally walk again. You have a problem, Cadet. Too many volunteers for one squad. You have enough requests to form an entire platoon. Ji-won stared at him. A platoon? But I am just a cadet. You are more than that now, Spiral Mind said. You are a symbol. The Academy wants to form a new unit, an experimental integrated squad that combines the best traits of multiple species. They want to call it Squad Terra, after your homeworld, and they want you to lead it. Me? Lead? Ji-won felt overwhelmed. You proved you can make life or death decisions under pressure, Spiral Mind said. You kept your head when everyone else panicked. And most importantly, you inspired beings from a dozen different worlds to work together. That is what a leader does. 2 weeks after the Vakros incident, another human arrived at Station Kepler 7. His name was Hyun-soo, a young man fresh from Earth with wide eyes and nervous energy. Ji-won met him at the docking bay. You are the famous Ji-won? Hyun-soo asked. The one who fought the Vakros. I am Ji-won, she confirmed. The famous part feels weird. I was so nervous about coming here, Hyun-soo admitted. I heard humans were not welcome, that we were seen as savages. Things have changed, Ji-won said. Come on, I will introduce you to Squad Terra. We have an open position. She led Hyun-soo through the station. As they walked, other cadets nodded respectfully. Some even saluted. Hyun-soo stared in amazement. They are not afraid of us? Some still are, Ji-won said honestly. But more are curious. We proved that being from a death world does not make us monsters. It makes us survivors. And the galaxy needs survivors. Squad Terra gathered in their training room. Prism Cutter was helping Quickwing with tactical simulations. Scalebearer was teaching Whisper Current hand-to-hand combat techniques adapted for his suit. Thoughtkeeper was analyzing data with 2 other squad members. When Ji-won entered with Hyun-soo, they all stopped and turned. Everyone, this is Hyun-soo, our newest member, Ji-won announced. Another human? Scalebearer said, then grinned, showing all his sharp teeth. Excellent. We could use more Deathworlders. That evening, Ji-won stood alone in the station's memorial hall. The walls were covered with names, thousands of them. Each one a soldier who had given their life in service to the galactic community. She placed her hand on the cold stone. I will do my best, she whispered to the names. I will show them that humans can be trusted. That we can be heroes, not just survivors. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Taehyun had followed her. Feeling the weight of responsibility? Is it always this heavy? Ji-won asked. Yes, Taehyun said. But you do not carry it alone. You have your squad. You have other humans who will follow the path you are making. And you have allies from 100 different worlds who now understand that humans are worth knowing. I just wanted to be a good soldier, Ji-won said. You are more than that now, Taehyun replied. You are a bridge between worlds. You are proof that differences can be strengths. The galaxy feared humans because they did not understand us. You made them understand. Ji-won looked at her reflection in the polished memorial stone. She saw herself, but also saw everyone who stood behind her. Her squad, her fellow humans, everyone who had given her a chance despite their fear. What happens now? She asked. Now you train, Taehyun said. You lead. You show them that humans belong among the stars, and when you graduate you take Squad Terra out there and make a difference. Far away in the criminal underworlds of the Outer Rim, a new warning spread among pirates and raiders. It passed from ship to ship, from gang to gang, spoken in 100 different languages but always meaning the same thing. Avoid humans. They look small and weak, but they are not prey. They come from a world that tried to kill them for millions of years and failed. They know no other way to live except to fight. They feel pain but ignore it. They feel fear but act anyway. They can be injured, they can be hurt, but they do not know how to give up. If you hunt a human, you might kill them. But they will make absolutely sure you die too. The Vakros learned this. Renclaw learned this. Now we all know humans are not prey. They are predators that learn to think. And in the medical bay of a Vakros warship, Renclaw sat alone. His injuries had healed, but something had changed inside him. He had been the greatest hunter of his generation. He had never feared anything, until he looked into the eyes of a small human and saw something that terrified him. He had seen determination. He had seen will. He had seen something that would chase him across the galaxy if necessary. That would never stop, never quit, never surrender. He had seen what it meant to be born on a death world, and he knew with absolute certainty that he would never hunt a human again. Back on Station Kepler 7, Ji-won stood with her squad in their training room, ready to begin another day. She was no longer alone. She was no longer an outsider. She was a leader, a soldier, and a pioneer. She was human, and that was enough.